Hello, everybody. Welcome to Daren After the Credits, episode 17. Can't believe we've done 17 of these already. That's kind of insane. Cannot believe it. Darth, how's it going today? How are you?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
I am good. It's been another crazy week of TV.
It really has.
It has. It's been a really fun week. We finally wrapped up Reacher this week. We had another good episode of Percy Jackson, and we checked out a new show this week, me and you, Has Been Hotel. We're going to be talking about that last, because I don't want to scare away anyone who is not watching this show.
Understandable, because, my gosh, what a ride.
That show has been a funny journey, because before a couple of days ago, I hadn't even heard of this show.
Exactly,
I knew nothing. And then I saw a bunch of people kind of looking into it and like reacting to it. I was like, you know what? Let's check this out. Some shows are starting to wrap up. Reacher wrapped up this week. And I'm very excited to check that out later in today's episode. Darth, how have you been? How's it been going?
Not too bad. I'm enjoying myself. Especially with this week of TV. I do have some thoughts on Reacher, but I've been really, really enjoying Percy Jackson, and especially with what you told me about Has Been Hotel's release. It's only been a couple of days since I watched it. I binged all 4 in one go, but I've seen it multiple times because I've shown my friend Kyron here, and then I've shown my friend Liam as well. And oh my god, it's got me hooked. Just really. And then the fact that it releases 2 episodes a week, even better, because then I won't be falling into the Percy Jackson trap of the episode ending and then me shouting at the TV because there isn't another one coming.
Sure. So. I think, not to jump into it too early, but I do think it's very smart to drop the first 4 at once. I think that works as like a nice little bundle, and then they can spread it out the next 2 weeks. But also sad is only 2 weeks long. It's I guess 3 weeks long. I guess we were a couple of days late to it, but I don't know. I'm curious because I do wonder if it would be a better binge than weekly. But also, I like having weekly, so I'm not sure about that.
I think it made a good decision. It could, because, again, not to get too into it.
Yeah.
But some of the characters did take me time to warm up to.
Yes, 100% agree.
So I think, especially in episode 4, like Angel, oh my God, really spun me around.
Yeah.
So there
I cannot wait to talk about that. Holy shit.
Yeah. Wow. So I think they made the right choice, and then again, getting 2 episodes a week out because it's still less than the hour, and it just allows more content as well. I would say that that's a smarter thing to do.
Yeah.
Because it's halfway, isn't it? It's in between the whole Echo dump and then the weekly. We're getting it half and half, which I'm okay with.
Yeah, I am weirdly too. Again, I think there's pluses and minuses to both, but I could have seen a whole drop and it working very well as a binge.
Yeah,
and again, I need more. I need to see what the rest of it kind of feels like. Come next week, now that we only have 2 to watch, how that works versus the binging all 4 at once. But yeah, we're gonna start with jumping into Percy Jackson now. I don't know how much I'll have to say about this week's Percy Jackson because we did talk about it quite a bit over on your stream earlier in the week. But Percy Jackson and the Olympian, episode 6. It's been 5 weeks of the show already. Time is flying. I'm having a blast with the show. I think this, weirdly enough, this was probably my least favorite episode of the season. And weirdly enough, I think this was the week where I'm just yeah, I love the show. The show is so much fun. I'm fully into it. I think I'm finally putting my critic brain aside a little bit and just being this show is freaking rocks. It's so much fun.
I think that's the test, though, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Because it's easy to enjoy something, but the second something that's been holding your attention for so long as well suddenly just drops the ball, whether you stick around and you're like, you know what, you pick that ball up and I will see you next week. That just shows the love that you have for the show, and that's great.
Oh, 100%. That was me with almost all of the Arrowverse shows. It really was. Where it's this is utter garbage, but I'll see you next year for when you do it again. I'll be here again next year. But Percy Jackson. So this was, I feel like, the episode that a lot of people were waiting for. The big casino scene. A lot of people's favorite scene from the film. A scene I was very curious how they're going to do it, especially with our cast being children and not like 30-year-olds pretending to be 16.
Yeah.
Did this episode live up to your expectations for what this, like, what the movies did, and also kind of your expectations to this whole thing?
So, like you said, we discussed it in my stream. But what's funny is that this is one of everybody's favorite scenes from the movies. Like maybe because of the books, but in the movies, it didn't grab me at all. This was a moment that I was just like, "Come on, let's just get going." I'm anxious to see certain people. This episode offered a lot more than that because of the separate stuff, the B side of the story, which I really liked. Sure. Yeah, this wasn't the strongest episode. It set up more than it answered.
Yeah.
Or gave, to be honest. And there was a few hints, I think, that were laid out in this episode that gives us a clear idea of where we're going.
100%. Yeah, I would definitely agree in just saying that it was a big like setup episode, and it does definitely pave the road for a lot of things that I think is going to, and honestly, I think that's been actually a lot of this season. Like a lot of this season has been just kind of paving the road to episodes 7 and 8 that we're going to begin in these next 2 weeks. I think we've just been paving the road, seeding these ideas, seeding this world, seeding these characters, and then come these next 2 episodes, I think we're going to be like, holy shit, it's happening. We're finally doing all these things we've been building to. And I am very excited about that. I will say, like, I think I liked the like set of it all. I thought like the world that they were in this episode was a lot of fun, setting up all the Lotus stuff and then breeding it all in. I thought that was all very fun. And I think I mentioned it over in your stream as well, but I did feel like it did feel a little hollow at times. Like I felt like we didn't get to live in these like consequences very long. It's like, hey, if you don't get out of here, you could be here forever. But I never feel those stakes within the episode. I never once fear for these kids. Hey, you're going to be stuck here. You gotta hurry up. It's like, okay, we're just leaving now. I was like, oh, okay. And I do think the movie does spend a little bit more time with that. Like it feels like it literally feels like they were there for weeks in the movie. Like I think they did a good job at making you feel that.
1,000,000%.
Again, and the only time I really felt that was Grover, which I thought was incredibly funny that they put him on a like VR headset, which is known for people getting lost in that world. That was like, oh, with the with the Lotus in the air and the VR, you would have been here the rest of your life. You wouldn't have even known it. So I
do wonder what drew Augustus to walk in there in the first place in his search for Pan, because as Grover said, that's like the least natural place you can be. Like unless he was going in there in a search of irony. When Augustus says, he's just over here, I need help breaking through to him, do you think he was referring to the VR? Do you think that's the bit he just kept being stuck in the game, or he's actually there? How do you think that's going to unfold?
I have no idea. I personally have no idea where we're going with the whole Grover side of the story. And I honestly think it might be a thing where in a couple years, from this point, I can look back at this episode and be like, they set this up so unbelievably well, and like all the like foreshadowing of all these storylines were really, really good. But just looking at this as a core storyline, it wasn't very satisfying just kind of watching this like start of a story being born. And again, I think it's going to be great at some point, but in this solo episode, I don't know, I kind of thought the Grover stuff was kind of
I love that you have to have a license to go search for Pan. That was a funny little thing. Like, I'm sorry, I'm a being of nature that like can give blessings to animals that like give them pure safety, but no, I need a license to just scour the planet looking for a guy.
100%. Kai Rex in the chat. Kai Rex, how's it going, buddy? Hope you're doing well. But I, like on like the offset of that, I did ultimately like enjoy him in this episode as well. Like I think they have done such a good job at growing Grover as a character, as a person, and not just like Percy's sidekick. Because let's be honest, that's what he was in the movies. He was his Yeah, he was his like funny side character that looks like a goat, and I feel like Rover's an actual character here. And again, we haven't even got to like, you know, I assume down the line he's going to have big storylines that's just about him, and I'm so excited for that because I think he's going to do very well at that. I also just again like building up this friendship with these characters, like everything where like he forgets his friends and he's like, oh, I have friends now. Oh boy, let's go, guys! Like.
Yeah.
All of that stuff was so cute, and like when he realizes that they came back for him, and that was really cute. And
I'm curious as to like how much of them saying, right, we're not going to split up. We can't split up. Okay, let's split up. It's going to keep happening until they realize that that's like their Achilles heel. So sorry, just to kind of like give myself a tiny bit of structure here. I watched last week's episode and I did a bit of jumping around because Aries was talking about Chiron misinterpreting potentially on purpose the Oracle's thing, right? Went back and watched it, but there's no way that could be misinterpreted. You're going to head out west to find the god that has turned and return that which matters, return that's been stolen. Do you know what I mean? There's no way that's definitely Aries putting in some like bumps in the road, right?
Sure.
But then in the intro, right, we get the headmaster. Okay. Now, obviously, we're supposed to see Percy, Grover, and even Annabeth making the wrong assumptions, grabbing red herrings and just following them and things like that. Yeah. But the interesting thing for me is that the headmaster, who Percy sat having the vision with in this episode at the start, he assumes that that's Hades.
Yeah.
Why on earth he is assuming that, I don't know, right? But I think it's interesting that he's having these visions as well as the person that's credited as the stranger. That person, there's the headmaster, and there's Hades, all credited as separate people.
Sure.
So I'm just very much wondering how it all ties in together, because I assumed the stranger was the ferryman for Hades, Chiron, however you say his name. And the fact that like Electo can be the algebra teacher, I assume that the ferryman, as busy as he may be, might be moonlighting as the headmaster. Because I was saying before, like the amount of people, because the mist or the veil or however you're supposed to say it, that's supposed to keep Percy safe. Okay, but there's like an infinite number of people around him in his life that we don't even know about. We know about Electo, we know about the headmaster, we know about Grover, we know about Chiron. But there could be more plants in his life throughout his life. The fact how that many are there in the first place, who knows? You know, so there's like a whole really interesting thing. But sorry, the fact that who was he talking to? I'm assuming the thief, right? He said the thief, so I'm assuming the thief is Luke.
Yeah.
But he said that the lightning bolt was stolen from the thief and that it was also returned. So what's that about? I'm dying to know if that was in the books.
Yeah, I'm just so excited to get more of, because I assume the Luke twist is happening very soon. I feel like we have to
happen next week. Has to happen next week. Like, even if they save it, which they're probably gonna goddamn do, like right to the end.
Yeah.
They're probably gonna do that. That's fine. I'm fine with that. But it has to happen at least next week. There's no way they have time to do that on the last week.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about that for a couple weeks now, just the fear of them not wrapping everything up as we want them to. I have to have hope at this point, though. I really do. I don't know. It feels like the show has so much love and you know, love put into it that it feels like I don't feel like this you know, this author would let them tarnish it again. I don't know. I just have to have hope that we wrap it all up in a nice little bow and we can all go our merry way as we wrap up the season.
But Hey, sorry,
All right,
again. So
go ahead.
I want to get back to that scene quickly, right?
Uh-huh.
Because I
Yeah, go
think it's
ahead.
fascinating, right? Because they used the crystal and made it offering to Iris, right? So I watched this twice this episode. The first time I watched it was on a projector, so I couldn't quite see the offering being made, which I think was awesome. So I love seeing that the second time. So then what they asked to see is Chiron's office, right? Um, and then Luke's there. But then Percy had just woken up from his thing where the headmaster was there. So is that a case of that's the headmaster's power that's allowing them to communicate, or did they make the same offering?
Sure.
You know, um, because like Luke was obviously in Chiron's office for no good reason.
100%. 100%. What was your thoughts on the like driving scene? Because I thought that was a lot of fun getting to see.
Hilarious. Again, this is why we need Taj, right? Because I want to know how much of a theme that is in the books, because I was thinking this has to be something that
Something new.
a
Yeah.
tiny thing that they've just stretched out. Because how would you make that funny in a book?
Yeah.
Like that's a visual gag.
It is. It is. I could see this being like a newer thing that they added.
Yeah.
As just a funny bit. And it also kind of made me realize how bad our trio has been on this quest. Like it feels like every episode they're getting help from a new person. Like if it was just them on their own doing this quest, they would have died day 3 or like whatever, right? Like they've had help every step of the way. Which I think is very funny. And I think that's going to help for their growth as well. Like I think we're going to see them season by season get stronger, get better, become more capable heroes and you know, demigods. And I think that's going to be a very fun journey. And then of course we end the episode with him getting the 4 pearls that can go to hell. What was your thoughts on that whole sequence? Because like I feel like that was a lot there.
So like I remember these things from the movie, but I don't remember him getting them from somebody underwater. But I can't remember the movies that well, so they probably did.
Yeah.
I know he had the pearls because I know it was a whole thing in the movie. Spoiler alert, I'm pretty sure one of them's going to break, right? So, like, a choice has to be made, and I'm pretty sure, like, Grover or Annabeth's like, no, it's fine, I'll kick back for a little bit, come and get me later, or something, you know? Whether they do the same thing is to be seen. But I thought it was really, really good. I love that what you're saying is already coming to fruition, in that he takes a stand and says, no, as much of a child as I am, I'm not just going to go back. I'm not going to be dismissed. I'm not going back to camp.
Yes. This
is an important mission. There is a lot at stake here. So I'm going forward, which I loved. He is very much showing leadership skills.
He's growing.
And as much as he does make the wrong assumptions, like with Hades, he is an intelligent person. So, and that is also the sign of a good leader, because he knows where he is smart and he knows where he isn't. And then, like, obviously, Annie knows Beth is a lot smarter than he is. So he's when to ask for help.
Yeah. I also found it quite interesting. Just like people on like TikTok has been a lot of fun getting to see the like book readers pitch in and be like, they've changed this from this and this from this. And one thing apparently I've got pretty people are kind of upset about and some people are kind of excited about is in the movie. And I also think the book, there were only 3 pearls, and in the show there's 4. So curious what changes they're going to be made there.
Right. See, I always thought there was 4 in the movie and then just 1 broke. Like, because obviously hell or Hades or whatever is not a great place. So like stuff's gonna happen. And Aphrodite's there being prisoner, so there's like a whole thing that they have to do. There's a quest in their quest again. I'm fully expecting 1 to break. From what I remember of the movie, 1 broke.
Yes. Yeah, it's been a while as well. Like I'm like, I don't remember exactly how it all goes. And there is a part of me that kind of wants to rewatch the movie once this is all done, just to see like what's different, what's changed and stuff.
Yeah, it'd be like watching like a B roll or a B movie after like watching Die Hard and then watching a skyscraper movie try.
Yeah, I should have done what I should have done is I should have rewatched the movies first, then did the show, and then did the book, and I just keep getting better and better as I go. It just only goes up. But yeah, no, I've been enjoying the season. I've been enjoying the show. I am sad we're kind of heading towards the end of its run here. We have 2 left. I'm expecting some good stuff in these last 2 episodes. I'm excited to start meeting some of these gods. I'm excited for some of these twists to start going into motion. Do you have any theories going into episode 7?
No, I'm really curious about Ares coming back because I know that didn't happen.
Yes.
Because I love the Edge. I loved his portrayal. I thought it was awesome. Very excited to see more of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm expecting some sort of confrontation just from how the picture was, but there's nothing to be said that is between Ares and Percy and the guys.
Could be Luke. I don't know. Be interesting.
Maybe. Along with that, right? So one of the things that I was like, oh, they've like heavily foreshadowed this is that one, when Annabeth pickpockets Hermes, I went back to try and see when she specifically pickpockets him.
That was cute, yeah.
The only time it can happen is when he grabs her and takes her from the table to the table, the betting table of craps to the eating table, dinner table. And even then it was like super quick. And then so he had that whole conversation knowing that she picked his pocket because there was no other contact. Unless she was sat there doing it with her foot under the table, there's no other time that she stole those keys, right? So I think that's very interesting in the fact that they had that conversation in the first place because she pushed Hermes' buttons. He very much really cares about Luke. Interesting how that's going to work out since he's going to be the villain of the piece. I will say though that Luke wasn't given the same motivations from what I remember in the movie. It was he kind of had the feeling that Percy has and that his mother's instilled in him that the gods are bad people, they need to change, they're not like good like humans should be, right? And now it's that she was a seer. She went crazy because she saw some things that were to pass, some things that hadn't come to pass and stuff like that, and she could see all sorts of monsters and thought she was going crazy and went crazy. And obviously he feels that Hermes is to blame for that. How would he be? I don't know, but whatever. But he's the god of thieves and also the son of Zeus, right? So just because he might seem apathetic in nature and Ares might be a bit more aggressive because he's the god of war, he seems like the stupidly simple choice. Yeah, I mean, I know they say like, oh, Occam's razor is like usually the simplest answer is the right one. But no, God of Thieves over there, you know what I mean, sitting pretty, beyond suspicion, you know what I mean? And then there's his kids, right? Because Ares' kids all love a battle or thrive on a fight and trying to get glory. Who's to say that Ares' kids aren't like the same way? Hermes' kids aren't the same way about him.
Sure.
Annabeth loves to be like intelligent. There's nothing to say she's got an owl at the moment, you know, that might come later. But they are all like their parents. So, yeah.
I mean, I kind of didn't even mention like him in itself. Like Lin-Manuel was in this episode, and that was a big point of, I guess, controversy for like a while. Like I saw a lot of people on the socials being like, not Lin-Manuel Miranda, and I think there's just been a lot of him in like the like pop culture sphere for a while. That's it. Like it does come to a point where it's like, oh yeah, we've had a lot of them, so they get hate, but I still love him as an actor, and I thought he killed the role. Again, I didn't read the book, so I can't say he was a perfect casting or anything, but I did enjoy him in this version of the character that I have seen. Like I loved his switch from the like playful like, oh, do you want to play with this, and the like instant like, oh, it's my son, okay, let's talk, let's go. Like this is like there was that such an instant switch that I thought he did a great job with that. I was like, okay, I really like this.
Exactly that, right? Because there are like quote unquote it people of the moment, right?
Mhm.
But it's different when it's somebody that actually is talented. That it's not like just of a scheme or just nonsense that this person has any credibility or a platform. Do you know what I mean? And is famous. Like he is genuinely very, very talented.
He is. And yeah, I've always enjoyed him as just like an actor. Like I always thought he's done a really good job, and the stuff I've seen him in, again, like I can understand maybe like, oh, I'm not a fan of his musical stuff. I think that's fair.
Did you not like Encanto?
I love those movies. I love them, but like I can understand maybe if someone didn't. Like I could understand.
Okay.
So no, I mean I love his music. Like you know that and Moana and Hamilton, clearly, good stuff.
So did you notice? Something I noticed on the rewatch is that the narrative of the episode changed, and it was off while they were in the Lotus.
Sure.
Because there was talk of conversation with Hermes that they didn't even show. Like there was a whole conversation. So we saw Percy leave. Didn't we? We saw Percy's conversation with Hermes, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like start to finish. But then as he left, there was like, oh, by the way, he said this, this, and this.
Oh, sure.
So like the whole forgetting thing, like I feel like they played that in the episode as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think worked really quite well and was an interesting choice.
Sure. Yeah, I'm going to be... I hope we see him again at like some point. Like, I assume we'll... Maybe in season 2 or season 3, we can hopefully get back to him, because again, like this is something I think we talked about over on your stream, but like there is kind of like so many of these god type characters that they kind of come in and like we want to see more of them, but we don't have enough time, or they just aren't in the plot to watch all these different actors play. But they've
like Professor definitely needs more time. Ares definitely needs more time. Hermes definitely needs more time. Medusa, I'd love to know if she can heal herself, because she could do with some more time. A little bit of therapy, group therapy with Poseidon and Athena. You know, have a whole sit down and work it all out.
Sure. Alrighty, here we're gonna be hopping into our next show here, which was Reacher, a show that has wrapped up this week. A show we've talked a good amount about these last, I guess I wouldn't say good amount, but last couple of weeks we have talked about it, and I'm pretty sure we're kind of on the same wavelength with Reacher, where I think week 1 we were kind of praising it a whole bunch, and then we've thought about it a little bit more, and we are pointing out maybe some of the things that don't work as much. So this was the final episode. How were you kind of feeling on the last episode of the season?
So I feel there's a joke in here somewhere, but this show definitely works so much better as a binge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's cheesy, like schlock, like popcorn chew, like just chuck it in there kind of stuff, and it's great. It's a good show, but there was just a complete lack of stakes for me this season, especially towards the end, that I did not feel in season 1. Love season 1, like start to finish. Some of the characters I weren't fond of, some of them I was supposed to not be fond of. Season 2, really, really good. I was happy with all of the actors. I mean, there was literally one moment from Dixon that I felt was like overacted. Other than that, like the whole thing was great, especially like Russo, the bald detective.
Oh yeah, he was great.
I used to hate that guy at the start, and you goddamn do, and love him getting like the whole airbag in his face, and then by the end you're like, oh no, dude.
Yeah.
Guy, oh man, I was really coming around, dude. You know. So then just shit's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt like these last couple weeks, especially, I felt no motivation to watch this final episode. I think, and I hate that this should be the episode I'm most excited to watch, is
Yep.
how you wrap it up.
Mm-hmm.
I am sitting here. I watched all four, like in between last episode and this episode, I found out about Has-Been, and I watched all 4 episodes of it before I even put on this episode of Reacher. I didn't watch it until like a couple, like, 6 or so hours ago. I really put it off to the last possible moment. And it's not a bad show. It is not a bad season. As far as good TV goes, it's good. It's a very well-made show. I think there is a quality drop, and I feel like I can't even quite nail what it is for me. Like, I can't even quite point out exactly what I disliked compared to last season. But
okay, do you know what it is? Right, is there was a real menace with last season where there was literally 3 people that you knew you could trust, i.e., Finley, Roscoe, and Reacher, right?
Yeah.
Then you had people that were 50-50, like that cop that got killed in his house with his pregnant wife, the poor bugger, right?
Yeah.
This time, and then the villain as well, right? So Reacher had no control in that town whatsoever. Everything was empowering the enemy, right? The whole thing. So that was the threat, that anybody's house could be targeted by these people sending in the wet team. Then Reacher took care of it. Then it was like, right, now they have an en masse force. What we've been dealing with this season is a troll over the phone. Now, I love Robert Patrick.
He's great, yeah.
And plays a great villain.
Yeah.
But all they gave him was him yelling down the phone and then not really being threatening to the people around him, because it was always other people doing the work. And then the one time he did throw a punch, it was beautiful because he showed his age and it was adorable. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was like, oh, he just threw his back out and saw it. You know? So and then it's a case of, we know that Reach has got plot armor. We know that Mooney's going to be by the end of it. Dixon and O'Donnell, those were the question marks, but I didn't care enough.
Yeah.
I didn't care. They're not like Finley and Neely and stuff like that, where I'm like, I care where you go. I care what happens, right? So like when the people all that come en masse in black and are a force and stuff, I again didn't feel the threat, because it felt like 3 out of the 4 people had like plot armor that weren't going anywhere, and then one of the person was just there and he had kids at home, so it was very unlikely that they were going to kill him, you know?
Yeah. And like, we've also talked about these last couple of weeks of like, Reacher feels like a superhero, and I never felt that more than this week. Like, there's literally a scene where he's hanging from a helicopter. He has Dixon, and from the side, they're punching him. That's literally Captain America. Captain America's done that like 5 times. And I think when you do build up Reacher to such a high esteem, you build him up as this unstoppable beast. It is hard to just have your thug number 5 be threatened. It feels like, you know, it's like having Hydra agents be like a villain, or, you know, like a villain of like a Captain America movie. It's like, these Hydra agents are doing nothing to Captain America. Like, why would they? He's a beast. Like, nothing's going to stop him.
And again, I think they had potential this week, right? Because they had AM, so they could have had him as a genuine physical threat for somebody in the team. Seeing O'Donnell or Neely or even Dixon having like a knife fight with him, like a la Under Siege, right? That would have been interesting. And then the fact that they killed off Swan, right? That
off
was
screen as well.
Absolute fake.
I didn't care.
That was not the reveal that everybody thought it was, right? And then this is what I was saying to you and 3Dubs before, right? Is 3Dubs kind of predicted this would happen, right? He didn't say the Swan thing, right? But he called it's just going to be an out and out 100% win, right? You and I were sitting there saying, well, that's going to be fine. right? That works as a story, but what would work better is having somebody in his team that he feels he has judged, like with his gut, and gone, right, I trust this person, I love this person, I'm down for this person, but then they're in with the double cross. I would have had Swan with a triple cross, right? Coming in, having a quick word with the team, saying, I'm on your side. Reacher going, dude, I knew it. I told these guys. And then he's like, boom, I tricked you all. Bang, bang to the bad guys and bang, bang to you. And I'm running off with money, right? You were calling for Dixon to be the bad guy.
I think that would have been really cool. Like, there's so much emotional. And that's the thing. I feel like, us talking about, like, him feeling, like, untouchable. I feel like there's two directions that they could have gone to make this villain feel more powerful. I think one was his money. This guy's rich. What's something that he doesn't have, like money, right? Reacher can't, like, he could hire millions of men and he can do all these things with his money that Reacher can't stop. That's one way to make him feel powerful. The other way is, like, this season's about his, like, the personal life of Reacher way more than it was last season. These are people in his life that feel personal to him. That's how you get to him. You get to Reacher by the people around him, the people who he cares about. And I feel like they tried at the very end. They tried to be like, hey, we have your people here. We got them. But they, to me, never felt like they were in danger. Not once did I feel like, oh, these guys are going to die. No. I don't feel that.
No.
So
1,000,000%. This is what I mean. They just leaned into, again, the hero side of it. That's too much. That's too much.
Yeah.
And I understand it's easy to do that because of, like, Alan Richardson's stature, but there has to be some realism to it. Like like his fights were outrageous in season 1, but I didn't sit there going, well, nobody's going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
I believed all of it because he was just like a big, capable guy. That's enough.
There's a, like, realism to season 1 that there isn't to season 2. Like, they definitely go up in scale, which, again, I think could have worked because it was so personal. But I don't know. I feel like they needed to go. I do hope for season 2 they go a lot more, I guess, personal again, and maybe a lot more small scale.
Right.
And I don't know how.
Apparently, before I talk into this quickly, I want to say that there was a shot, right, of the bit with Neely dropping the bottle, having a drink, right? Like pretending to be a kid. Right? Yeah. I was saying to 3 Dubs, right? When you watch the episode, I'm dying for your opinion, right? Because the man is edit central. He is edit city. He is Mr. Edits, right?
Yeah.
Now, so it shows her with the bottle, right? It's like, please turn it, right? Fuck off, get out of here. I'll turn around, or whatever it was, right? And then she drops the bottle. Yeah, and it shows the bottle slowly dropping, right? And then she turns around, bap, 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 right? And then it shows the bottle on the floor, right? Now, when it shows the wide shot of her going like bap, 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 like that, the bottle's already smashed on the floor. The edit was so bad. It was so bad. I was like, this is like your one, like, cool little funky moment that you're trying to make happen, and the effort that you put into it was so abysmal, you didn't notice the object of what you're doing. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. That it wound me up. Oh my God. How did that get past that? But yeah, so sorry, before season 3, the book has already been chosen.
Oh, okay, cool. Do we know anything about it, or?
Right, yeah. So we know that it's literally him by himself.
Okay.
I think it was on Screen Rant. Let me see if I can find it quickly. Oh, actually, wait, it got sent to me on thing so I can WhatsApp it on Twitter. Liam sent it to me the other day. Give me 2 seconds. So yeah, it's basically him by himself. And then, like, the opening is the same. It's him dealing with, like, a domestic violence thing.
Okay.
What did he send it to me on? I thought WhatsApp. Just Google it.
While you're looking that up, though, I do think I quite liked how they kind of ended these characters. Like I think they like spend the first like 25 minutes or so doing the bad guy stuff and like wrapping it all up, and then the rest of the episode is just getting these characters chilling out and stuff like that. And I think that is what the show does best. I do think it's these character moments is what kind of makes the show for me. And I do really enjoy all like this crew kind of going back and forth, and Reacher realizing that they are his family. I thought that all was very, very cute and very personal. What was your thoughts that like Reacher's kind of rich now, or like I guess he kind of gave rid of most of it, but like they have all this money at the end of the episode. I thought it was very cute them handing it out to all these people in his life and different charities and the dog shelter, and he gave the kids money for like rest of their lives. I thought all that was very cute. Do you have any kind of thoughts on that?
Yeah, sorry. Just got something from it. Hilarious. No, so really, really, really sweet. I do feel like it takes a little bit out of it. So like with season 1, it required him scheming, thinking ahead, planning where he's getting his resources from. Like for instance, his first gun before Roscoe gave him that ridiculous hand cannon, right? Don't get me started on that gun. Do not get me started on that gun. I'm so glad he got a normal gun for season 2. That was obscene. So like it required like a lot of forethought, right? But then when it comes to season 3, even season 2 nearly took care of everything. So again, there was that element that
there's no stakes
away from them. There was a lot less risk. It was all reward. They were sat in penthouses, for God's sake. They weren't motel hopping for safety and curtain twitching. None of that. Like season 1, he was telling Roscoe where to put, like, all right, put the chair on the door, move the bed, put your head where they're not going to expect anything. Like he had like a whole system of how to sleep safely. Like he was still being hunted, but there was none of that. I understand that there's security in a hotel, but there's like world-class level assassins involved, and you're just all just jamming normally. Like that's how little of a threat there was that they weren't even bothered. They were just in their penthouse partying. One. So it's here, season 3. The book has been confirmed. Book has been chosen. Author confirmed. Solo Jack story. Reacher author Lee Child confirms that the book for season 3 has been chosen, revealing a solo story for Alan Richardson's titular character.
Oh, let me pull it up. I didn't see that. There we go.
Yeah.
So no, I mean that sounds a lot more exciting, I think, especially when you have the last couple seasons where he kind of has a crew surrounding him, and I assume there will still be some sort of like recurring characters that we deal with, but maybe not as much as like a team, because especially this season, like we talked about, and like the like Real Rejects had brought up a lot that I was kind of like echoing, where it's like they kind of feel like an Avengers team or like a Justice League type team where they're all just these superpowered unit that are can't be stopped whatsoever. So I think maybe getting rid of some friends, taking a break from some of these characters that we've seen, making it a real person. I mean, I guess this season was very personal, but make it like personal in like a different way where it is just him and himself. Maybe all his money's gone, right? Maybe he spent all the best stuffies.
Yeah, that's the thing, is like unless he's put it in that Western Union that he's so fond of, that could just be instantly stolen within seconds. But if it's all digital,
I'm curious how much of it he actually gave away, because like it seemed like he didn't really want any of it. He just he got something for himself because his friends wanted him to. So he got like the bus ticket, which is a smart thing for him. Like I think it makes sense. But I don't know. We'll see.
So there's 20. Up at the start, it talks about the issues that we've had really, in that it was very team heavy with Neely, Dixon, O'Donnell, and then covering why friends of their past are being murdered. And then Season 3 is going to be dealing with the protagonist being on his own. The opening scene sets the tone for the upcoming episodes. We picked it up. It's chosen. It's a good choice. I gotta say, I think we've been very creative about how we sequenced the type of story. We felt we needed a book that was more Reacher alone for the third season, and that was it. And so it was a question of which story would work best for that, and which one would have a great opening scene. And for all of that, we found one that we loved.
Okay.
What will it be? There are 28 entries so far, the 29th coming out this year. Of those, Worth Dying For fits the bill. Of a lone Jack Reacher story released in 2010, the novel has been described as one of the best in the series. The story begins as Jack arrives in a rural Nebraskan town late one night in a lowly motel bar. He overhears a drunk doctor who refuses to help a victim of domestic abuse, which both season 1 and 2 has opened with, like him challenging somebody that's domestically abused partner.
Which are two of my favorite scenes from like the whole show. I think both sequences are so good. So
the doctor changes his tune once Reacher intervenes. Also breaks the nose of the abusive husband. But it turns out the abusive husband is the scion of a powerful clan, which gets the titular hero caught in an unsolved disappearance. This would continue a Reacher tradition, like I said, of him helping a domestic abuse victim. Also in the possible candidate is Die Trying. This is Richardson's favorite. Richardson's favorite. I feel like that's wrong. The solo adventure sees the show's hero kidnapped in Chicago along with a very important woman. While the decision for season 3 was made well before season 2 even debuted, the solo focus will be a welcome change. Absolutely. Could not agree more.
Yeah, I think that's all very smart. It sounds like they were wanting to do something this season, but they also knew either maybe it wouldn't fully work or that they just kind of wanted to try something different for season 3. And I think that's a wonderful idea. And I am so excited. Like, I feel like it sounds like I hated it or something. I did not hate the season. Like, as far as good TV goes, I think this will still probably aim like top 15 or so of the year. Although this year's already been off to a hell of a good start for TV. So,
hell of a start.
Yeah. So we'll see. But yeah, I'm curious to see. And I have a feeling it's not going to be that long because it seems like they did seasons 2 and 3 kind of at the same time. So I would not be shocked early next year or something, or even late this year maybe.
See, the sad thing is like I'm happy that the team's going to be getting on with their lives, Finley included. But
yeah,
I would like to see Neely and Finley again.
Yeah,
I understand. I'm sitting there saying I don't want it to be team heavy and stuff, but even as like a source of information, I'll take like a phone call.
Yeah.
Like anything, I'll take. But like, don't just have them there saving the day the whole time.
Sure. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, these characters they've done this season are good. Like, they are really good. And I think if it was any of them, like, individually, they would work a lot better. But I think since there's all of them there, and they all do kind of serve the same purpose than, like, one another, it's like, oh, if one of them died, would we care too much? Like, when, like, Dixon is like hanging out of the like thing, like she's about to die, which I will say I thought that was a bit silly. Like, again, that's like that whole sequence was so comic booky with the way she's unstrapping herself from the thing and making her way. I was like, you would have died there. You would have slipped right through the bedding.
Roll into the helicopter. Honestly, like I did not believe that for a second. I'm sorry. You're gonna army roll into. You're gonna like roly-poly into the helicopter from the trolley that's only got the man's grip as a purchase. Get out of here! Get out of here! Come on. It was fun.
It was a lot of fun, and again, like this isn't a show I take too seriously. Like it is really a fun little show. It's a fun show. It's a fun little.
It really could be. It could be. That's the thing. Is it genuinely could be a show that you and I have sat there like, ooh, this could be happening, or this could be happening, or this could be happening, this, and this. this is what we could be sitting talking about next season.
Yeah,
they have that potential, but this season,
go back. Yeah, I could see it, and that's what it was like last season as well. Like if we were talking about that weekly, I bet we would have a lot more positives to say about it. Looky who it is. Just as we're wrapping up our Reacher conversation.
He did the same thing last week. Like he literally as it ends, he pops in. I was like, how? How does that happen?
How's it going, buddy? How's it going?
Great timing, I guess.
Like that.
Oh, just as we're reaching the end.
Nice.
As we're kind of heading towards the end of this talk, thoughts on season 2 as a whole, because you're kind of like our Reacher guy. You're a big fan. Do you kind of have any opinions on it?
I will say I'm not a fan of I guess it's like for me it's like not like what it was in season 1. Season 1 for me was like a 9.5 out of 10.
Yeah.
This one is basically an 8.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Solid 8 or just tipping to get 8?
Just tipping.
That makes sense.
Oh, so that's a generous 8. Okay.
Yeah.
That's kind of what me and Darth have been saying this last couple of weeks, where it's like, this is good, but we think it could maybe be better.
I will say like they chose the wrong book. That's the book that they were basing it on isn't that great.
Oh yeah.
So
the conversation that Dubs and I was having off camera, how did you feel about that scene now that you've seen it with the fight in the gunfight where they finally had the confrontation over Little Wing, right?
Yep.
Because I personally found it very chaotic and hard to keep track of who was what and where.
I will say like it was like complex to where it was hard to keep track of which area they were fighting in. But overall I could pick out basically Reacher, and that's all I cared about.
Yeah.
Right, but that's an issue, right? Because before now, or even with the biker scene in the car park where they get surrounded, that was telegraphed a lot better. You could see who was fighting who, and what they were doing. And even to the point where you had 2 fights sometimes, foreground and background in the same shot, and it was all working really, really well. So then to go from that to, I understand, like, say, like with the Lotus thing in Percy Jackson, where they're using that fog to kind of play into the episode, the chaos of the gunfight in such a small space, like blocking off a deal, that could be very chaotic and confusing. So they might have been playing that into this, like the screenplay or whatever. But for the audience, that can be a bit jarring and like take you out of it a little bit. And again, take away the danger and the stakes, because if I can't see what's going on and I'm working out who's red shirt and who's on the team, then that's taken away all of the element of what the fight's supposed to do.
I mean, like for me, I wasn't like full on like focused on who's where and who's what. I was like, oh cool, a fight.
Yeah, that's fair.
Do you know what I mean? When you watch a fight, you want to know like whose side you're on. You don't want to just be watching a fight with like zero emotion, going right. Well, the left or the right guy could win. You know.
Well, I mean, we did find out who won after.
No, I know, I hear that, but during the fight, you want to be going, yeah, there's my guy. That was a great punch. Oh, good dodge. Oh no, he took a hit. You know what I mean? You want to feel the fight, not just left guy got a good bit in. Right guy did there as well. What's that?
I think it was an okay fight. I do just think by Reacher standards, though, it did feel kind of basic. And I think especially when you're in kind of the final episode, like it's all leading to this moment. This is the thing we've been waiting for. I just kind of left it being like, it was okay. Again, especially when Reacher's known for having these massively cool fight scenes and these really high stakes feeling. I mean, just last week we had a freaking chainsaw, and he's like unplugs the chainsaw and rips it out of his hand. Like that was sick as hell. I was like, holy shit, that's so great. And I never had a moment like that this week.
As far as like fights go, I rank it as a 4.
That's fair. Out of 5 or like
out of 7.
The arrest at Little Wings. Which is episode 7, the arrest in Little Wings.
Mm-hmm.
fair enough.
Yeah, I ranked that like a 4.
So I mentioned this before you got on, so you might have been in the chat, so I don't know. But again,
No.
dying to know what you thought, right? So the shot where Neely is pretending to be the kid with the car and the music, right? And she drops the bottle, and the bottle is just so clearly in the shot, and it like already smashed, and then it smashes, and it's just like, dude, come on. Did you sit there dying inside knowing that you do so much of a better job than like network like paid professionals? Like, did you sit there just throwing shit at the TV?
Not as much as no, not that nuts.
I went crazy. I was like, how did that get past? Does nobody watch this show that makes it? Like, just edit it and go, right, that's done, and no one sits and watches it.
I know, like a lot of there's a whole like history of movies and TV shows that you will see like a freaking miss, like how the position of their hands are when they're trying to do a fight scene from different angles.
Yeah.
There's also like sometimes there's like a fork and spoon on the table, and then the next jump cut it's missing. And then
that Arrow episode where like Diggle's just missing. He's gone.
I missed that. That's hilarious.
And sometimes like when they're trying to focus on one person, no one's theoretically in the shot or can't be in the shot, but when it shoots like a group shot, the character that was supposed to be in the shot is technically behind them now. It's just it's basically like it's a continuity error.
Yeah, sure. I can often though like have a lot of fun with like stuff like that. Just kind of having fun with them. Be like, oh, they made an oopsie. Oh well, you know.
My problem is when they're actually fighting and we actually see them like do an uppercut and it's not even at their face.
Yeah.
Like they just go like that, and then like 2 seconds later they go woo.
Yeah.
The Dark Knight Rises is the worst one for that. With that fight on the rooftop, that was shocking.
I'm like, there's angles for that. That way it's not so obvious.
Sure. Alrighty, we're gonna be moving on from Reacher. Do you guys have any kind of final thoughts on the season, kind of where we're going in season 3? We were just kind of talking about our next book and kind of where we're going and how season 3 seems more solo for Reacher than the season. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I like they like to jump out order, so I'm not entirely like 100% sure if they're going with book 12 or something. Do you have like has there been like any?
Yeah, they just
okay.
Scroll down.
It's going to be either Worth Dying For, which was released in 2010.
Wait, go back. Which Worth Dying. Okay. I think.
Or Richardson's favorite, which was Die Trying.
Die Trying. This guy likes to like.
It's the 15th. Well, the Worth Dying For is the 15th book, and the other one
is 2. 2 and 15.
That's weird because if you think about it, they already skipped. They were going back in time. So, if they go with the other book.
Yeah.
Book 1, right? So then they went to book 11. So if they go to book 2, that's nonsense. They should go to book 15.
Yeah, and also like if they do go back in time, that means every single person that you saw die in the show is still alive.
Well, yeah, I mean, I doubt we're like going to directly adapt the book, right? It's going to be the very just kind of like the general mystery in the story of it.
They have been directly telling the same story
Yeah.
because both season 1 and 2 are based on the Killing Floor and Bad Luck and Trouble.
Yeah.
Sure.
But what he's saying is the timeline, right? Because obviously, the Killing Floor was written in '97 and was probably its timeline would have been as such, right? And then the Bad Luck and Trouble was 2007 and probably would have been.
I think they're going to do a creative overhaul of being like, hey, we're going to modernize it, but it's basically the same story.
That's what you're saying, yeah. That's what you were saying.
100%. Would these be choices that you'd be happy with if we end up going this route? Do you think it'd be better than the second season?
If they go back and forth like how I thought they were going to, because they basically said they're doing soft reboots of each season, so for them to go back in time would be kind of interesting. Well, technically 2 years. They will go back 2 years because if they go with book 2, that happened 2 years ago. So it's not a big time jump, but it's still it would still be interesting storytelling because they're soft rebooting each time they do a season.
Sure. Kai, apparently there are 23 and a 29th one coming soon at some point.
28 and 9, yeah.
Yeah.
23 and 9 would have been a big jump.
Let's do 28 seasons, folks. Let's do it.
I'm happy with the decision as I feel like Reach is going to have to make friends there. Obviously there's going to be a level.
Sure, there has to be other characters. Yeah.
Yeah, because this whole alone thing can only work so much. It's
100%, yeah. There's a lot of.
I will basically say that he is alone while he's walking, because he walks all over the country. So I mean, he's alone from the transition from book to the next book.
Okay.
So
yeah, I mean, this is a conversation I've had about the Flash for years now, where people said it should just be the Flash. I was like, that'd be a boring show if it was one character against the villains the entire season. You do need a supporting cast around Reacher and around these characters. I'm curious how they go about that. If we add characters that weren't in the book, or if we, I don't know. So I'd be very curious, because I feel like a book is easier to do that. Just have your main character. But
I'm down for a season with Tom Welling as their Smallville casting.
Get one per season.
I mean, we got Kristen Kirk in season 1. Now it's Serena Swan from she played oh my god.
You mean Dixon?
Yeah, her name is Dixon, but her real name is Swan, her last name. And Serena Swan, and she was oh my god. I know exactly where she was. Give me a second.
Zatanna.
Fuck you. Yeah, she was Zatanna. I was having a brain fart for some reason.
Let's get Justin in here. Justin Hartley. Just throw him in there.
Justin Hartley would be also funny.
That actually wouldn't be a bad pull.
Yeah.
That would actually be kind of a good
I could
pull.
see him.
I actually want to see Justin Hartley as a bad guy.
That'd be fun.
I would take him as a brash FBI agent or Homeland Security that he has to work with in some capacity.
Sure.
Because
a buddy cop.
don't like each other, because I don't think that he would work too well in a villain role, if I'm 100% honest.
I could see it, but I think he does work very well in a kind of softer role.
I would honestly think of him as one of those preppy boy inheritance kids. If he was a villain, I wouldn't
because
take him.
He was Oliver.
Oliver Queen.
Even when Oliver Queen, he was basically on drugs, and he had a villainous take on Green Arrow when he was on drugs, when he was basically dying, and he was saving himself.
I didn't feel threat, right? If Stephen Amell's guy, when his stuff was in question, I thought, well, it's Oliver, there's probably a reason for this. But I did think, oh, those guys, man, he might have just hit like a bit harder than normal. They might need like some help. Never felt that with Justin Hartley. You know what I mean? Like there's just zero, again, we're back to Reacher standards. There's zero threat, so maybe he could be a bad guy.
And let's have Michael Rosenbaum look like Lex Luthor and actually be Aquaman's friend.
I feel like at this point we may as well just make Smallville again. Let's just do Smallville season.
I mean, they're still trying with the whole
They're
animation.
trying. I would love if they got somewhere with that, man. I would love it. We haven't heard nothing for a while.
I also heard that they're still doing the Val Zod Elseworld series. So,
How are they trying? And two, what have they achieved that you're like, well, they got a step closer?
They pitched it like 2 years ago, and we've heard nothing since. So
no, they pitched it 2 years ago. But if you keep watching Smallville Talk podcast, they keep mentioning it.
Sure. Well, I mean, again, I would absolutely love if they got something done.
They would have they'd have to make like 3 Doves happy, right? And then like make sure that it's an Elseworlds of Crisis, or they would have to show him getting his powers back.
Well, it could also be a prequel, right? Like it could.
Yeah, it could. Right no, after... it could be a comic book tie-in, meaning like there's already a season 11 in the comic book world. Just make it in comic
season
book
12, kind of. Yeah.
Well, season 11 and 12, like just continue that story instead of.
No, see, I thought you meant live action. That's what I was hoping for.
Animated.
No, it's animated. Meaning like. They're going to probably recast Allison Mack's character. So,
and here's also the thing about Crisis is I don't think you have to retcon it. That Earth technically died, so when it came back, you could just do whatever you wanted with it, right? Like you could say that never actually happened there.
I refuse to call that Earth Smallville.
We're not doing this argument again. I won't do it.
It's not an argument. It's a statement.
I liked it. I liked that scene, and I will stand by
I like the nod and the nostalgia of no capes, no fight, no Superman, but I hate the fact that he like quit.
I think it happened way too early. I think like during the timeline, I think it should have happened later in his life. But
yeah, that's
my issue with it. All right. We got to move on to our next show. We've been talking about Reacher for like 50 minutes. Let's move on. Dubs, I don't know if you have started the show. If you want to dip out, you're more than welcome to. We have a brand new show, Has Been Hotel. It's kind of been taking the internet the last week or so. I saw like Chainsaw started it. I saw that like Omni has started it. So I reached out to Darth. I was like, hey, there's this new show that came out. Do you want to check it out? And he's like, sure. I kind of feel bad though, because I wish I would have checked it out before I just blindly recommended it to someone. Because holy fucking shit. This is one of the craziest shows I've seen in a minute. I was not expecting this at all. Dorothy, you know anything about the show prior to me sending this to you and being like, hey, do you want to check this out?
Not a thing. Not a goddamn thing. You just said, hey, we're streaming. Like, would you like to watch this? Absolutely. Of course. Yeah, sure. And then I put it on, and oh my god. Just pure filth. Just pure filth.
I'm really glad you didn't have like children around. Be like, this looks like a kid show. Let's put it on. Can you imagine?
Oh my god. So fortunate. Yeah. But such a good surprise.
Yeah.
Because oh my god, what a great little show, right? And it's just, I feel like it's a way to be seen as a vehicle. It's just a part of the show. It's not like their aim. Like their whole thing isn't right. Let's just see how crass we can be. Mm-hmm. They follow the logic of where they are. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're in hell. Every like depiction that we've seen of hell so far has been very tame. Even Constantine, where there's just like souls just reaching up and grabbing and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah.
If hell is real, there is so much messed up stuff and depravity and like torture and all sorts of things that are happening. So it makes sense. This show having it in it makes sense. It's not out of place, you know?
Sure.
So yeah.
Yeah, I really, before kind of going into like our full thoughts and stuff, I do really love the culture that they do breed here. Like, hell is just such a vibrant place. Like it's a real world, and I think they had a lot of fun with like the world building of everything. It's not just like they're in hell, so like everyone's burning and dying. And normally what I think when I think of hell, like there are cities and people have jobs and people have passions, and there's such a lore to this world. There's TV programs and radio stations and hotels and stores and all these. They film. I don't know if I'm even allowed to say this word on stream, but they film certain things down there. I didn't know people watch those type of things in hell. I didn't know that was a thing.
A whole industry of adult movies.
Yeah, which makes sense. I assume that's probably most of what they're watching down there. I can't imagine they're watching My Little Pony in hell. Like, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's a really interesting depiction there because
that would be hell watching My Little Pony.
I knew you were gonna say that. I had a feeling.
So like it's really interesting because like they go for like the traditional depiction of an Abrahamic religion / hell, right? Where there's heaven and hell.
Yeah.
Instead of like the whole, like they have the fire and the brimstone, but instead of the eternal damnation and torture, it's more like the Hunger Games.
A little bit, yeah.
With everybody having like a weird Disney princess disposition where everybody's gonna break out into song for no reason, right? So there's like it's a whole thing, but they just chose to go a whole other way, which gave the characters a chance for violence and gore, but gave them a chance for a whole other depth. Because if it was solely the torture and the punishment, then that wouldn't have left a lot of room for creativity.
Sure. No, 100%. Like the show is very creative, and I don't know if you kind of know the story behind this getting made. I have not seen the original pilot yet that this was based off of. So basically, from what my understanding, what happened is someone on YouTube made the show. They like made a pilot of the show. They put it on YouTube, and it blew up. It did absolutely massive. And then like A23 came along. They saw it. Like they made it to a proper high budget TV show. Yeah. And that's kind of the thing that really caught my eye with this whole thing, because I think I love stories, with that happening when like a creator's vision gets like I feel like that's almost every artist's dream thing, where it's like, hey, I made this thing, let it be noticed by billions of people, and they give me a bunch of money and I get to have my dream project. And again, I haven't watched the original pilot yet. I think I'll do that going into next week's episode or whatever. But I think that's so amazing, and I understand why it got so popular. Again, I don't know what's been added. I don't know what they did versus what we did in the pilot here. But like, it is such a creative world, and you can tell they had a lot of fun. And I love how every character looks so drastically different. Like, every character has such a unique vibe and characteristic and kind of vibe to them, I guess, that I thought was a lot of fun.
Yeah. I love the hierarchy as well. There's like overlords, and then there's like mini bosses, and then just pure minions. And even like the mini bosses, like I would say, even Angel is like, he appears to be like a minion, but he obviously has a level of power in when he had to go at Husk, and even his beauty spots or freckles turn into like demon eyes that were just sheer power. Arms out of nowhere came, so he had the spider look that he got quoted for earlier.
Yeah.
So really, really, really interesting. I love the intro with Charlotte's kind of self-soothing reading of her bedtime story that was written by her mother. It was, like I said, so they've gone for like a certain choice of dogma, and instead, like each of the angels look different in many different aspects, like in their heads, their horns. Some of them are just a big eye with those like rotating cogs that have whole other eyes on them, which I absolutely love. So it's a real like passion for the creator. They've done deep dives. They know what they're talking about. They know the mythology. And I feel like that's a lot of fun and a lot of things to learn from.
100%. And not going into kind of a little bit of the drama of stuff. Like, there's been a lot of controversy, and I think there always is controversy when you make a show about like hell or heaven or any of that kind of stuff. There's a lot of people that are like, this isn't right with God. If you watch this, you're going to hell. And there's a whole, especially with this being like an animated show, there's a lot of people being like, this kids show is teaching kids how to be bad, and that God is. It's like, it's not for kids. It's not a kids show.
I literally was the same problem with Lucifer, and then I found out it was a DC show, so I was like, oh, hello.
Lucifer, man, when I was still in church when I started that show, Lucifer, and there is that, and that show's not a bad show. It's a very goofy show. It's not like an evil show or anything. But like as a kid, I was like, I'm going to hell for watching this show.
Goofy.
It gets. Oh, that's a goofy.
It has its goofy scenes, but goofy.
I'd say it's a goofy show. It gets silly sometimes, but I love Lucifer. I love it so much. I honestly, and this show gives me that vibe. Like, it is very like in line with that show. But you guys have any thoughts on just like what's that?
Oh, Tom Welling, season 3, bad guy, king.
Well, let's get this guy out. I was kidding.
I love rooting for the broken and the depraved. I think that's very interesting. So much in the same vein that I found it very confusing in Kingpin in episode like 5, I think it was. Echo, sorry, where we were rooting for Kingpin beating up the guy serving ice cream because he was just the horrible person,
Yeah.
So like you're rooting for a bully taking on a bully, like that's I'm rooting for a bad guy. That's such an interesting thing to feel, And again, here, like the good guys are the bad guys, and we are rooting for the bad guys, and they're shown to be more human than the good guys, who, in this instance, were the first humans. The main angel that we have dealt with so far has been Adam, and I suspect that Eve is the one in Charlotte's intro that was the female in the background.
Yeah. So are we meant to believe when people die, they turn into angels and like demons? Like is that what we're meant to think? Or is Adam just a special thing?
He had divine ordinance, so I think that's why he became that.
So So it seems like humans don't go to heaven and hell in this world, right? It's just like demons and angels, it seems.
No. Heaven, their souls do go to heaven. It's just not all of them become angels.
Okay.
And Supernatural, it was kind of funny because I'm binge watching it, and what they just said is basically you can be possessed by demons, like in the physical world, but also when you're in hell, they torture you until your humanity is like non-existent, and then you become a natural born demon, like as your humanity slips away. So that's pretty interesting to think about.
You become a kind of smoking supernatural, and then with angels, right? Archangels can create angels with the know-how, if supposedly, or maybe that was just a lie from Lucifer. But then, like the Nephilim can do it. Like he can create angels, he does it, but he can't create archangels without a certain level of power, which was really cool.
I guess what kind of confused me a bit in this episode was like death was very real in hell. Like anyone could just kind of die again in hell, right? So it's like, where do they go after that? Are they just gone kind of forever? Is that kind of where we're going with that?
I go to the emptiness.
Yeah,
there was a episode 1 or 2, I think it is.
Yeah.
No, 1 or 2 anyway. When Valentino Vox gets called to Valentino's place because he's throwing a fit upstairs, and then tore asunder the other V, I forget her name, Violet, whatever her name is, her best model, right? So he said, we can't wait for her to pull herself back together. So I think there might be some instances where that's possible, that they do pull themselves back together, but others where they do actually die, right?
Sure.
So something I checked while watching the show, because I found it very interesting, is they said that 16% of hell killed in this year's
Sure.
thing, right? And I checked, right? So in 2023 alone, there were 61 million deaths, right? But then 134 million births, right? So there were 73 million net lives and souls on the earth. But because the extinction thing happens every year, I don't know like how many souls there are, or like how that's going to work. I really thought that's really fascinating. 73 million net lives in one year.
That's insane. Yeah, that's crazy.
So cool. You did.
Well, I don't know if it's cool, but yeah, it is fascinating.
A little bit scary, but very cool.
Yeah.
So back to the show. Yeah, go on.
They called the when the angels die, like again, like basically they're technically already dead because they're living in the heaven plane, but when they die, they go to the empty, and they can never be resurrected again.
Yeah, well, that's fair.
Well, like they.
Because
they could, but it's very, very hard.
Yeah.
So they in episode 1, I'm wondering like how much like have they pulled like dogma from other instances, right? Because like Dante's Inferno, I'm wondering if that journey is possible, because they're talking about redemption, right? And that's the whole point of Charlie having the Has-Been Hotel, is that she wants to redeem the souls.
Yes.
A bit like Ashra in Mortal Kombat without all the violence. She wants to clean the souls and have them pass on to heaven, right? Maybe even bypassing purgatory. I don't know. But where, like, is that a thing in the Bible, or like
no, I don't.
Or anywhere,
Bible wise, I don't think you can once you're in hell, you're there, right? You're there forever.
I would say like there is a point like if you it never happens in the history of like the Bible, but I would think there is a way out of hell if you figure out what you did wrong and ask for forgiveness, but that never happens once you're there. So I mean
I've seen a bunch of stories, like I know like a show like Once Upon a Time kind of did this, where like hell was more of a like a place to learn what you did, like a place to kind of like you're stuck in a place, and if you can kind of like learn to move on with your life, you can learn to find out what you did and you can move on, then you can go to heaven. But if you die there and you don't move on, you're either stuck there forever or you die,
Lucifer did it the best way, where you're stuck in the loop where you have to there is a way out, but you have to find it for yourself.
See what Daren described, that's a lot of interpretations of purgatory, more so than hell.
Well, I mean, even in like the Lucifer show, that's kind of how we end the show, right? Is like Lucifer one-on-one helping these people through their problems where they can move on to heaven or like whatever. So
that's really sweet. Yeah.
So, and again, I think this is a very fun concept for a show. I think nowadays it is hard to find like a new idea, and like obviously there's stuff from all these kind of things that we just talked about, but like Hotel in Heaven or in Hell, I mean, is never. Like, I've never heard of a concept as of that. So I think it is a very creative concept in a very creative world that
we did see a Hotel Transylvania, so I mean it's possible.
That is true. Which is something that I did feel like it's a bit of like Lucifer mixed with Hotel Transylvania. If those two things had a baby, this is what, and like a little bit of like Family Guy kind of in that very dirty humor. Maybe that's not the word I'm looking for, but like a very kind of raunchy type show, mixed with Disney, I guess, as well with the music.
What's interesting is that, like, how they dropped it. We spoke a little bit about this before the stream.
Yes.
And that they chose the 4 episodes drop really well, because some of the characters it took 4 episodes for me to like.
Yeah.
Others I was instantly hooked. The second Serpentius pulled out those big baby eyes, I was hooked. I love Serpentius. He's great. Angel by episode 4. It took me into
Yeah.
episode 4 because I bought the act, right?
Yeah.
Hut wasn't buying the act. I bought the act. I love what's her name? What's the name? The little one. The little one.
Niffy, right?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. She is great. Played by Miko Glenn. She's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Charlotte, again, I do really enjoy. Again, that took like a little bit. It didn't take the full 4 episodes. That only took a little bit because of she is so infectious and positive that sometimes you got like that's
too much
strong energy that you're like, oh, hang on a minute, you know. But then like seeing that she has the potential, she has the power, she is not that way inclined whatsoever, is a real interesting thing.
I'm also really fascinated to see kind of where we, like, I do want a little bit of her backstory to find out how she became so positive, being the like daughter of Lucifer herself. She's just like, I want to help everybody, and I like puppies and rainbows, and everyone's perfect and awesome. And
that's what it is supposed to have been like, right? Because from the story in episode 1, all of this was like a mistake. Like this wasn't an intended thing. So like her dad, I'm interested to see why he's an absentee dad. But he's supposed to be this great guy. Lilith is going to be the interesting one.
Yeah, right? I'm curious what happened to her.
Yeah, and I think that Alistair has a part in that because he was gone around the same time for the same length of time.
That's a good point.
Lucifer, well, Lilith dragged Dean Winchester down to hell. So I mean,
enough from the peanut gallery. My goodness.
So then, and he has a very interesting level of power.
Sure.
Because think about it, right? TV's been around for like 100 years now, and Alistair, but the character the real life person he's based off of is in like a 1933 serial killer who was the host of a radio show apparently, right? So he went to hell around the same time that TV would have been a predominant thing. So he would have instantly been vying for like power and control because that TV took over a storm. Do you know what I mean? It took over generations of people. So it's really interesting that he holds so much sway still. And then that Zestiel, another favorite character of mine, holds him in such high regard. Not only just because of, like he's an enigma, but you got to imagine that guy's pulled off some madness.
Yeah. I did really like the like TV versus radio and like what has more of a pull in hell, and like just like when I was in church, I would have like these. I had a like Sunday school teacher that refused to have a TV. She swore that it was like the like devil's creation to pull in new people. And like as a kid, I was like, that's ridiculous. Like you're crazy. But also I can understand that point of view. Like TV can breed a lot of evil. Like you can, if you're a Christian, you can be like, oh yeah, it does pull you away from God and it puts your focus on something else that's not God. So I can definitely understand that. And I thought the way they used, especially back in like what the 80s and the 90s, like that was huge.
Right?
Yeah, 100%. Like that was huge, pulling, like for the first time seeing like butt shaking on TV and just like, like what, like what would be now the most like innocent thing back then was like you had pants on. How a girl having pants is evil, like that kind of stuff was crazy. So I thought that was very clever using that, like these two kind of forces. And again, radio also was a thing where it's like, no, this thing's evil. Like they could say like whatever they want on there and trick our kids into joining a cult, something like that. So I think that's very interesting. And Alistair is freaking terrifying.
So
my
cool.
Word.
So cool. And there's a whole reason for the antlers, and I need to look into it. I'm really interested in Vaggy's character as well, and whether or not she's the daughter of the knife lady that killed the angel. I feel like there's some elements in their character design that feel very similar.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed her as well. I think mostly because I love the actress. I love Rosa for Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and I love Encanto. So just seeing like, you know, when she appears in things, I always get very happy. It's like, Rosa, she's here. So she's kind of a fun like co-lead. And like I always thought it was very funny because like from Encanto, like everyone's like, she doesn't feel like Rosa whatsoever. It's like the opposite. And here it's like, oh yeah, she's just playing Rosa again. It's kind of like the very personal kind of dark kind of biker type character. So I've enjoyed her. And then Keith David as well is a part of the show, and he's just a joy.
Phenomenal, doing everything as always. The guy doesn't miss. Just doesn't
he doesn't.
miss.
He absolutely doesn't. Thoughts on also just the music of the show and what they're doing with songs? Because I feel like that's also a pitch, just being like, okay, it's a show about hell and demons and heaven and angel, but we're gonna make it a musical. It's gonna be like a Disney movie. You know, thoughts on those?
I'm glad I didn't know about that going in. If I'm 100% honest, because I got stung by that, and I would have second guessed the show a little bit going in, and I'm so glad I didn't know, because I, as surprised as I was by it, I did end up enjoying some of the songs, and two of which are actively going to be put into a playlist, which I'm going to be listening to a lot. Loser and Poison are two
Loser
really
is so good. Songs. Yeah.
And I think like they take like songs that exist already, like at least the music or the beat of it, and then whack on their lyrics, because they just feel
they stuck in your head. Yeah, it's
like
a rhythm in your head.
I feel like I know them already, like that, like how the beat's gonna go, but then they like the lyrics I've got no clue for. You know what I mean? It feels like it's almost like the Mandela effect. When have I heard this beat before? Have I heard this before? I feel like I've heard this before.
Yeah. The like opening song really felt like, oh, I like, this feels like a like musical theater song just in the world of hell. Of course, you've got a bunch of actors that can just sing their heart out, and it works very well, I think. This is kind of my closing thought. I this isn't a complaint, yes, because it's not a problem yet, but I could see a world where maybe it does become a problem. I do think these episodes could be a little bit more focused. I think episode 1 was very good and had a very focus. But like I was trying to think back, like what happened in episodes like 2 and 3 especially, and it was like, okay, yeah, I could definitely see why maybe some people aren't like attaching themselves to it. And I think it's episode 3. No, I think episode 4 kind of hit this where it's like, what are we ultimately leading to in the show? It's about getting people out of hell, right? It's like, okay, how do we do that? And I feel like we haven't really expressed that yet, right? We haven't like, obviously they're like team building, okay, but does like Angel just need to team build? Shouldn't we be going out and getting more angels? No, we have to team build for like 2 episodes. It's like, okay, cool.
The issue with that is they are in hell, so they're there for a reason, right? And then the whole point of the show is we're going to give you the most depraved people that you're going to get. You're not going to get like Sunday school people that just stole a bar of candy, right?
No, 100%.
So you need her to struggle to get even a soul in the door. The fact that she's got 2 already is a miracle at this point. Yeah. Because like you said, she's even like laid out an A, B, C, or D plan. She is winging this as she goes. Yeah. So anybody even drinking the Kool-Aid is going to be a miracle.
Sure, I know. I 100% agree. Again, I don't have an issue with that. I'm just saying I could see a world where, you know, with only 8 episodes, we could have an issue where we kind of just spin our wheels for a while. But again, I need to see kind of where we, because again, we're already halfway through the show, which is insane to think because it's a 4-episode drop. But I'm curious where we kind of take these last couple episodes, where the season goes. Do we kind of like, do we end the season with just getting the like snake guy into heaven and then like, oh, we can do it, all right, let's go? Or do we end the season with like 6 months later and we're about to go into war or something? So I'll be curious.
Okay, so do you think like they're definitely going to get to the war this season, or they're going to do it next season?
I kind of hope they wait. I kind of wish that it's like a 2-season thing. But again, I don't know if this is even getting a 2nd season. I don't know what the plan is for the show. If it is like a one and done, or if it's if it's a multiple season type show. I have no idea. So
I definitely think they're going to have 2 seasons. I don't think
I
they're
would
going
hope
to,
so.
especially like you said, like the reception it got on YouTube, and then now that it's being consumed and it's on Amazon.
Yeah.
And Amazon on YouTube actually haven't released the music videos because they know that people are going to want to be consuming that. So they've got a lot of faith in this, and I'm very sure that a season 2 is coming.
Yeah, it's been doing very well on like the streaming numbers and stuff. Like it seems like people, and I think Amazon is just such a. I feel like no matter what, they can't almost lose. Like almost everything they put on their platform just seems to do so unbelievably well. Which is, I think,
wish, like certain like shows lasted longer than like 3.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. We've talked about that with like Gen V and stuff, where it's like they drop the first 3 at once, and then we have 5 weeks left, and it's like 4 weeks left.
Like I wish they had some sort of longer season, like 5 max, basically.
Well, I mean, I think we will, because like the boys is going to they're going into 4. They'll probably get to 5. Invincible is what they said they had like a 7-season plan or something for that show. I think it's like too new of like a network to of us have gotten to that point.
When like for example, Hannah, Jack Reacher, Jack Ryan, sorry, wrong Jack, but those I kind of wanted longer, an extra season or 2, but they didn't happen.
Sure.
Party Nation.
I misread this earlier. So basically, it's in the show that Alistair was a Southern radio host and serial killer from Louisiana in the 33, not actually from real life.
Okay.
And then Angel Dust is named after the drug. Angel Dust was born into a crime family, many of whom are also in hell, take form as spider demons. He died in 47, has a twin sister and an older brother. They're going to appear later on. Alistair has deer hoof prints on the bottom of his shoes, and more to follow. I'm very excited.
We didn't really talk about the Angel Dust stuff too much, but the stuff in episode 4, my lord, I was about to cry. Like,
wow!
What a powerful storyline that they picked for them.
Wow! But okay, that's really good. But the depiction of everything that went along with the music video, how that got past censors, I don't know, right? Because all I will say is the words soft core, okay? Because my God in heaven, okay? So how I Flash Freak got us all onto Chainsaw Man, right? And I was like, yeah, that's a good show, but it was made by some of the horniest people alive, okay? Same could be said for this show. It's crazy. I mean, I know they said that we're going for the logical step of what's happening, and my God, do they? Episode 4 leans heavily into that.
Yeah. Episode 4 made me look back and be like, I'm a full-grown adult. Am I allowed to be watching this right now? Am I allowed to be doing this? I felt guilty, but like the aftermath of it all was so emotional. Like I could not believe how far we were taking it with him.
You know that they talk about children being desensitized because of everything that they've seen so far, right? And then it's a natural progression. I was saying to my friend that originally we had The Simpsons, right? And then we get Family Guy, and then from Family Guy we get Rick and Morty, and then from Rick and Morty we get Adventure Time or Vice. What I mean? It's stuff we
American Dad actually.
What I'm saying is this is the progression. Eventually, what the hell are we going to be getting pre-Watershed? Because it's crazy. It's crazy. I feel like they saw the line and they saw that as a pull-up bar challenge. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That was crazy. And they're not even half done.
No, and I mean that's a whole just conversation about what kids are experiencing at such a young age now. Like when growing up, you're Family Guy and stuff was such a no. At least in my house, you can never watch this. This is devil's work, and if you watch this, you're going to hell. This is how I grew up on. And now, just my my kid like my like little like stepbrother's watching this stuff, and it's like, what's happening? Like how, like, and I'm, and I think that is like kids are growing up so quickly now, and it's they're experiencing so much that I didn't experience until I was at least high school and stuff like that. When it's crazy to me, it's absolutely crazy. I could totally see a kid like stumbling upon the show. I hope there's some sort of like censor for the show, but like, hey parents, don't let your kid trust this, because if you just look at it, hey, like this looks like something that's unlike
this kid's
like,
profiles
looks adorable.
Oh yeah, look at her little eyes, I can definitely see. So I hope there's like a lock on it.
The thing is until it gets to Angel's story in episode 4, it's merely just like an aesthetic. It's like it's a point of the story when it needs to be, but it's not constantly thrown in your face. And it's not gratuitous, like how like they worked in like the S acts with the song, hilarious, right? And then him just getting like and all of that, just like, oh my god, just I can't even. Okay, but again, like I'm sitting there going, the show was like pure filth and stuff, but again, it didn't feel like it was just thrown in my face. It was just it's just there. That is the reality of where they are.
There is like a very like Saturday morning cartoon vibe to like the show. Like it does kind of feel like each episode's kind of on its own, which I've kind of missed in a lot of these shows. But again, it's that, but like clearly not for kids, clearly for us adults.
Okay, so on the back of what? Sorry, quickly, you're right, because there's like like the most basic parable in every episode. I mean, what was it, episode 2? Learn to say sorry.
Yeah, that's a good point. You're right. But the thing is, here's the thing. Here's my soapbox. I think we need to hear that stuff more often, because I think we forget sometimes. I think we forget, like, hey, be patient. Hey, don't be an asshole. Hey, be a tolerable human being. Don't be a dude. Like those, we forget that as we get older. It's like, we teach it to our kids, but like when we get up there and like we're not hearing be kind or like wait your turn and stuff like that, we forget it when we grow up and get older, which... So maybe it's stuff like this we need. Like it's like these like parable for adults.
Like this is like the worst of the worst people learning that they can say sorry. So if they do it, we have no excuse.
We can do it. I didn't even think about that, but that's a really good point.
They're technically drawing, so they didn't really say it. So, woo.
Exit over here in the chat, our current co-host over on the pipeline. They said
he was basically saying what I was thinking when I said it.
Amazon gave up on The Expanse after 6 seasons when there was 3 more books to adapt, which always kind of annoyed me. But overall, Amazon does have some good quality shows, in my opinion.
Good quality, but lousy, continuation.
I think that they do, like, I think most of their shows do well because they are really good at marketing. I think they're one of the best, like, streaming services at marketing their shows. They don't make a lot of TV shows, but when they do, they market the heck out of them, and normally they do pretty well. Unlike, like, you can have, like, a Netflix show that they'll put out, and no one's even heard of this thing. Like, I didn't even know the show was a thing until it's canceled, and that's why I've heard of it, because, just then. So, I don't know. But Darth, do you kind of any final thoughts on the show going into these next couple weeks? We have 2 more weeks of the show. I'm really enjoying it. I think it can just go up in quality, though.
I'm grateful. I feel like I'm at Thanksgiving, right? Because I'm grateful that I've learned about the show. I'm grateful that I only have 2 weeks to have a whole bunch of my questions answered and then a whole bunch more thrown at me. I'm really, really interested in character motivations. I'm interested in the lore. Because it's a twist on everything. Like, yes, they've gone for a traditional, like, backstory through the spine of it, but they're putting their own flavor and their own twist on stuff, which I really, really enjoy.
Sure.
Every character, no matter how small, even Nifty, I believe her name is, Little Nifty.
Yeah, I need a little bit more out of her because I feel like I don't know anything.
This is the thing. She's one of those characters where everything is just teased, right? Because you had Husk when he was sitting there just checking everybody, saying, I know each one of you MFers, right? I know all of you to your core. And then he sits and describes all of them, including Serpentius, who I just adore. His little Eggman is great. And then when he gets to Nifty, he's like, oh, you don't even want to know about her side, you know, what her story is about.
Yeah.
And then when they get into the BDSM dungeon and Husker's enjoying the scratches from the cat, and then Nifty turns up and she's like, oh, I'm ready to play and I'm ready to punish some bad boys and stuff. He's like, I'm out of here. Right.
I can only imagine this out of context is hilarious. Just like, what the hell is
I looked up Nifty and she apparently voices Penny Parker in Into the Spider-Verse.
Yes, she does.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
I wonder if we're really going to get into this character or if it's just going to be a gang that we never know like how bad she is. She's just a cute little thing that we just never know about. I think that'd be kind of funny as well.
So from the promotional material that I've seen, I think she gets a counterpart. I'm very happy for them to just be a gag in between each other, much like the old men in the Muppets, you know? There was like a whole thing, and I'm fine with that. We've got enough depth with Charlotte because she has so much inside yet to reveal. I feel like we're going to be getting a lot of that in this week's episode, with episode 5, when her dad comes back, because he does it because her mum's disappeared, but then her dad was making phone calls and stuff, and then disappearing. So it's like, how much of a dad like is he, and how much like time does he spend away? Because I feel like that hell isn't his place. Hell's Lilith's place. This is a very different Lucifer. This is I feel like Charlotte's estimation of him is very accurate. You know what I mean? Like he is the dreamer type. He is. I think he's going to have a side project. If I'm honest, I think that's going to be really interesting if that does happen. Where and what Lilith is doing, and whether or not that has anything to do with the power that the Knife Lady has to kill in protection of her family, and being an ancient person and having 2 young children is very interesting. So, does she have more children? And just how much power does Alistair hold? Because as we've learned, he holds Husk's power now, and was basically like, right, well, you can keep your power, but you're going to be working for me. So how much power does he have that he can even do that? Because he himself was a powerful overlord for a time.
He was, So, and it seems like we're kind of going with this like outcast and like misfit type storyline with them, where they all came from somewhere, but now they're kind of in this weird spot. And I do think it's kind of interesting that both of her parents happen to be missing, and where we kind of go with that, because I have a feeling that like Lucifer, I think like you mentioned that he started out as like a good guy and a very like artsy and creative person. I think he's probably kind of maybe not evil, but like sad now, like after all these years of being down here. Like I think he's a broken man. I think that's where we're gonna find him. And then maybe once he kind of finds out what his daughter is doing, that brings some hope back into him. Like, wait, you're doing something really good here. Like, maybe we could do something with this.
There's a way back. So, maybe we can undo everything. Because from the thumbnail of the next week's episode, he has the same outfit that he left Heaven with. So Lilith might not be the same, because from the depiction, she looked like she rose to like enjoy her. So I'm very interested as well, because the lore on Lilith herself is very, very interesting. There's so many different interpretations as to whether
it's always so drastically different. I'm always very curious. Alrighty, I think we are heading towards the end of our stream here. We had 3 great shows to talk about. Did we have a favorite within this past week out of the 3 shows?
Right. 3 shows. I gotta say, there's a small recency bias. Well, no, because I watched Percy Jackson, and I gotta say, Has Been just came in out of nowhere and just won me over. It's a gem. It's an absolute gem. I cannot wait for more. Give me more Sir Pontius. Give me more Alistair. Give me more Zestiel. Give me all of it. I want all of it.
Yeah, I think I probably agree. Like, Percy was a lot of fun this week as well, but like this is very fresh. It's very new.
Yes,
Reacher ended up this way. I think Reacher was easily my least favorite, unfortunately.
Yeah.
3Dubs, did you have a favorite out of the 2 shows that you watched? Uh-oh. I made him mad. Uh-oh.
As soon as you said like Reacher was my least, what the fuck?
It was your... No, I was kidding.
They did it. No, they did it. We didn't.
Worst show I've ever seen in my life. God, no, I was
kidding. No, but I'm a huge fan of book adaptations. So Reacher and Percy Jackson are my top favorite shows.
Sure, that's fair. That's fair.
But again, that's biased because I like book adaptations.
That is very fair. Darth, where can people find you? Where are you located right now?
Just type in it's Robert Blake, aka Darth Bunyan. If you type in Darth Bunyan and lightsabers or Robert Blake lightsabers, I'll pop up.
Very nice. Or you can find him in our featured section over on the channel. He's been here for months now, so I was like, let's add him over there so you can find him more easily. And 3Dubs, where can people find you? Where are you doing stuff?
I am mostly on TikTok now. I've grown to like it, and I'm on planet Earth, by the way.
What? No, you're not. Very nice, very nice. But yeah, as far as any updates for me, pipeline this week. We normally do Thursdays. This week we're doing a special Saturday stream due to scheduling. We're doing a special Ben 10 stream. I'm very excited. We have put together a group of other creators, a bunch of other creators that love the show coming on. Very excited for that. We've had the first kind of Ben 10 news in 5 years, it feels. So it's gonna be fun.
What is a hint of the news, if I can ask?
Okay, so here's the thing. Ben 10 fans are so desperate for news, we take anything. So one of the creators did a Q&A. He kind of gave they asked him a whole bunch of stuff for the future of Ben 10. He's like, hey, I'd like this, or I'd like this, or I'd like this. None of it's real news, but it's the best thing we've had in a very long time.
Okay.
So we're just gonna go down the list and talk about it.
He's basically lighting the fuel. Here, I'm throwing some here and throwing some there.
We haven't had anything to talk about. So we're gonna take this opportunity and talk about this stuff.
I feel bad because Omniverse really dissuade me from the franchise. I love everything up till Ultimate Alien, and then the second the animation of Omniverse happened, and
I recommend giving it a chance personally because I think it has some of the best stuff in the whole show.
Really?
I just think it just takes a little bit of getting used to. It's different, has a different tone, has a different style, but when it gets into it, it gets really good. But yeah, that's it for us today, guys. Again, thank you everyone who hopped on today and talked about all of these shows. But I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.